If you are filming yourself playing the guitar for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, I want to show you how you can get better looking footage. Doesn't really matter if you are filming with your phone or a high-end camera. You can do a lot with lighting, and that is what we are looking at. So we are trying to go from something that looks like this. This is me playing Wonderwall, looks really bad, and to something that looks like this. This is a YouTuber called Jamie Morrissey, and he has really good looking videos in my opinion. So let's start by analyzing what is going on right here. Some of the steps that we will take to get a image like this can be a bit expensive because you might need a lot of gear, or some gear at least. So I'm going to try to tell you what the most important stuff is so you can focus on that if you are on a budget, because you don't necessarily need everything. But okay, let's start. I think he has his ceiling lights turned off. The room is kind of dark and ceiling lights are often bad to use, so turn those off. And I'm also guessing that he has blocked off all of the windows. Yes, we can see some sunlight hitting his Marshall amp right there and the back wall. But my guess is that those lights are fake. They are not real sunlight. To get that, you will need a cob light, a hard light. We will discuss hard light and soft light a bit more later. The light on Jamie right here is more soft, but the light hitting the wall and the amp is harder. So you can fake sunlight with a light like that. And my guess is that he's using a gobo light to get that pattern on the wall. This is the more advanced stuff. You don't need to do that. If you are able to block off some windows maybe, you can still maybe have one open and use that sunlight if you're in that position. The hard thing about that is that the sun is moving and the level is going up and down all the time. So it's better to use a fake light. So that's one element. Take control over existing light in the room. Turn off ceiling lights and maybe consider blocking off windows. And then we have a softer light on him and his guitar. A soft light is a bigger source, and you have probably seen a lot of YouTubers use a softbox, like this big attachment that you put on a cob light. I've used that a lot. In my setup today, I'm not using that. I find them to be a bit big and clunky inside of my studio, and often at home as well. It can be a bit tight where you are filming, so I have a different solution. But to me, it looks like there's a big soft light on this side outside of frame. We can also see some practicals that is like existing normal lamps in the background. You can just place them there to create depth in the image. But the most important thing is the key light, that soft light on you and the guitar. So let's go over to my experiment right here. This is before, looks really bad, and I've started with turning off the ceiling lights, of course. Then I'm starting to place those practical lights in the background. Like you see this right here, and I think I'm placing another one right there. Just giving some pools of light in the background. I'm also starting to clean up the background a bit, like stuff that I have in the back that can also create a messy image. And then I'm starting to experiment with that fake sunlight or that hard light in the background. That is also really nice to have there to create more depth and realism in the image. I'm using a very small cob light with a projector mount, and at first I'm trying to use a gobo pattern of like a fake window. Later on I will change this. I think it looks a bit too fake in this instance. I'm trying with also like a light slash right here. At the moment it's also a bit strong, so I'm turning it down later. But yeah, I'm trying something like this to have that in the background. As I said, I'm changing that up a bit later, but that is something that you can do because it kind of looks like you have a window on the right side of the frame, and that there's some natural light coming inside of my studio, which is not the case. And then you can see this thing right here. This is what I use as a key light. I've used tube lights for quite some time. They are really handy to use, but the source of a tube light is kind of small, so it can also become a bit hard. So what I've gotten is a Caligari air tube, which is an inflatable attachment to the tube, which makes the source bigger and softer. It almost looks like a glowing sausage, and it's really handy to use in my studio where it's kind of tight. I'm honestly getting better results with that compared to a softbox. In the case of playing guitar, that is. It's not always better, but in my case, inside of my studio, it is better. And then we can see that I'm going from that window pattern to a more subtle light slash in the background here. Still looks like some sort of sunlight coming into my studio, or maybe it's those practicals throwing some lights over to the back wall. And then I'm continuing to clean up the background a bit, and I'm adding an amplifier, just adding things that seems realistic to have in a guitar video, like an amp, and I'm also adding a guitar to the background to make it even more realistic. And at this point, I'm getting pretty close to what I want. I haven't tried to sit down on that chair and to play guitar yet. I can see that the left side of the frame is kind of dark, so I placed a fake plant on that side, and then I found another tube light. And here you can see the tube light without any attachment to it, so it's just a bare tube. And I'm placing that on the side of that plant to illuminate the plant a bit and to bring up the level on the left side. This is also not super necessary, but it makes the whole thing a bit better. And here you can see I'm trying different levels on that light and also some different temperatures to see how that fits the image. And I'm landing on quite a subtle look on that side. And here's another tube. I can see that the left background is also a bit dark, so I'm placing that there to bring up the level in the back. This is also nitpicky stuff. It is not that important. I would say concentrate on some lights in the background if possible, either with practicals. With practicals, you can just use whatever you have. You don't have to buy anything really. You can just place any lamp in the background and also focus on that soft light that we will take a look at soon. And this is me trying the setup. One thing that I'm also changing from the before image is that I'm angling myself a bit from the camera like this. The tube light with the air tube attachment is up here out of frame, and it's illuminating my face and the guitar. And I still have quite a hard shadow on this side, and that creates shape. If you have a lot of light coming in from this side, you lose that shape and it looks most of the time pretty bad. So I would encourage you to have some shadow on the side that your camera is on. If you want less shadow, you can absolutely do that, but I like to have some degree of shadow on that side. And if you want to get rid of it, you can move the key light. Just try different positions with the key light, but try to have some darkness on this side right here. For example, we can take a look at this again. There's a lot less shadow on this side on Jamie, but still there's a tiny bit. My guess is that his soft light is placed closer to the camera to avoid that much shadow. And you can also see overall that there's less dark areas in his image. I prefer to have it a bit more moody. This is without any color grading, and this is with, and this is what I ended up with. And this is behind the camera, so you can see the setup better. The camera is right here, and this is the chair that I'm sitting in. This is the air sausage floating in the air, and you can see that small cob light, which is sending that sunlight on the wall behind there. You can see the practicals right here, and you can see the tube light standing out of frame right there, illuminating that flower, that fake flower, and also something going on in the background right here. Focus on placement in the room. Try to place yourself away from the back wall to create some depth in the image. Try to take control over the existing light and place some sort of soft lighting on you and your guitar. From the side is my tip, and try to experiment with angle on that light to bring up or down the shadow on your side going towards the camera. And place something in the background. You don't have to spend a lot of money on this, but place something there and you will end up with a much better looking image. Let's compare again to the beginning. Looks horrible. I'm facing the camera directly. There's no shape on me or the guitar. It looks flat and boring and yellow. It's really ugly. And this, a lot better. I will also link Jamie's channel under this video. Thank you for watching, and please let me know in the comments if you have any questions about lighting. Yeah, goodbye.